What's going on, everyone? This is the Noah Gillian Show, and I, of course, am your host, Noah Gillian. So happy you decided to join in today. It is the 5th of October, 2023, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Fightin' Phils, baby. Fightin' Phils advancing in the postseason, and then we're also going to talk about the rest of the postseason field and what happened because the wild card round's over. It was supposed to be today, too, if anyone went 3 games, but alas, all of them ended in sweeps. So before we get into the show, before we dive in, please give that show, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please give that 5-star review. It really helps the podcast grow. Also, you can find the show on Twitter and Instagram. You can find all our handles in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, I got the show's handles right here for you. Voila. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it because I'm sure you can tell that I'm amped up, baby. The Fightin' Phils are so back, baby. We are so back. I mean, we got people to the point where people that aren't even fans of Philadelphia are jealous about the atmosphere that they just witnessed at CBP. They are people that don't even like Philly are like, damn, that's a tough place to play. Or they're looking at the camaraderie amongst the team like, damn, that's a connected group right there. They look like they're having fun. And my goodness, I love it. I am here for it. My God. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the Phillies advanced to the NLDS after sweeping the Marlins in the wild card round. They did that after a 2-game sweep out of a potential 3-game series. They won game 1 4-1, and then they won game 2 7-1. Overall, first takeaways from the games, just utter dominance from the Phils. I mean, this is what you expected would happen, but weren't really sure. You never know. When it's postseason for baseball, more than any other sport, it's a crapshoot. I mean, if anybody's seen Moneyball or heard Billy Beane talk, one of the most intelligent executives in all of baseball, one of the more recognizable, he just says that. I mean, it is an absolute crapshoot once you get to the postseason. After 162 games where the best teams usually make it and the worst teams usually fall off, when it comes to that postseason, man, anything can happen. So the fact that the Phillies were able to pretty much manhandle the Marlins, it just goes to show you the level of competence that this team has. Honestly, out of all the teams we were talking about, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, the Reds, the Cubs, all these teams that were kind of in the wild card mix that were going to potentially face the Phils in the first round. The Marlins gave me a little pause because they were a divisional opponent, but out of all the teams, their lineup easily was the worst, and they were dealing with some injuries that really hindered their play, it appeared, and at the end of the day, the Phils made light work. So Zach Wheeler absolutely went out and dominated in game 1. I'm going to see if I can just pull up the stat line just so we have that. But overall, Zach Wheeler, game 1, what you want from him was what he gave you. He came out and absolutely dealt in game 1, put just his foot on the throat of the Marlins and gave them no hope whatsoever. He came out and absolutely dominated, went 6 2/3, ran into a little bit of trouble in the 7th inning, but ended up getting 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned, 8 Ks, went 100 pitches. Like absolutely unbelievable stuff from Zach Wheeler. A run of his actually scored on an infield single. It was the reliever that kind of inherited that or allowed that run. However, at the end of it, actually, I think I'm wrong there. No, Zach Wheeler let that in. Regardless, dominant stuff. 8 Ks, like had his A stuff on. So absolutely phenomenal to see. And then you get game 2, and all I hear, you know what? I'm going to go on my soapbox for a little bit. All I hear every single year is this guy, Aaron Nola, folds. He's not worth the money. He's not an ace. He's not even a number 3. This is the stuff that I hear, all right? This is the stuff that I hear, all right? That he's not even a number 3, let alone an ace in this league. And all I see when it comes to pressured pack moments for Aaron Nola is a delivery. Let's just run through a list here. Clincher last year, postseason clincher in Houston. He goes 6 perfect innings, absolutely dominates, gives up a hit in the 6th inning, goes 6 2/3. Wild card, game 2, clinching game in the wild card round, 6 2/3 innings, no runs, absolutely dominant. Has a very, very good start in game 3 of the National League Division Series. Kind of started running out of gas a little bit against the Padres, even though he still pitched well. And in the World Series, he looked pretty good, but you could see that it was starting to kind of wear on him. Regardless, now we go to this year. We got the clincher in against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Absolutely dealt the entire game. Didn't give up a single run. And then the wild card game 2, the clincher in this round, he goes out and he goes, let me get the exact stat. He goes 7 strong innings, only 3 strikeouts, but scattered 3 hits, 88 pitches through 7 innings. I mean, relied on his defense when he needed to. He held the running game in check, picked somebody off. I'm sorry, but this guy is a stud. And now, since he didn't have a phenomenal, at least to his standards, regular season, maybe the Phils are able to bring him back on a little bit cheaper deal. I don't know. That's a conversation for a few weeks from now. After the season is over. We are still playing ball, though, and that's all that matters. The offense, I mean, what can you say? Absolutely dominant. Trey Turner hit over 500. I mean, we had 4 doubles in the game yesterday. JT Real Muto goes absolutely and then the boy, Bryson Stott, hits that monstrous grand slam. I mean, it had to be deafening in CBP. It had to be. It had to be absolutely deafening. And then in game 1, obviously we didn't have 7 runs, but we still had a good little explosion of 4 runs. We had Castellanos had 2 doubles, Trey had a double, and Bohm had a double. Bryce absolutely dominated, running around the base path, blowing through stop signs. Trey was good on the base paths. Trey stole 2 bags in game 1. Like, everything that we wanted happened in this series. The offense, stud, up and down the lineup. I could name the entire lineup and everybody got a hit. The pitching, phenomenal. The bullpen, phenomenal. I don't think the bullpen didn't give up a single run. Actually, Gregory Soto in the 9th inning last night gave up 1 run, but at that point we were already up 7-0. It was with 2 outs, 2 strikes. So, like, at the end of the day, whatever the case may be. But you go pretty much 18 innings allowing 1 run, or 17 innings allowing 1 run. You give up the 1 in the 9th. Regardless, I mean, you could tell the juices are absolutely back, baby. The juices are so back. So what does that mean for the Phils? That means a date with our good old buddies, the Atlanta Braves, in the National League Division Series. Game 1 is on Saturday at 6 o'clock, so make sure you're ready for that game because it's going to be an absolute stunner. Spencer Strider is going to be on the bump for the Braves, and it looks like it's probably going to be Ranger Suarez on the bump for us in that game as well. Hopefully we'll preview that matchup as we go there, and then it seems like Zach Wheeler is going to get the nod in game 2. And if it does go 5 games, it seems like Zach Wheeler is going to be able to pitch in game 5 as well. So the way our rotation is kind of shaking out now, we got we're going to have Ranger for game 1, Wheeler for game 2, Nola for game 3, and then if necessary, we have Ranger again in game 4, and then Wheels winner take all game 5 if we need it. So honestly, it couldn't be set up any better. Obviously, you would love Wheeler starting game 1, but at least he's starting one of the games in Atlanta. What we did last year was every single series we were started on the road, and every single series we stole a game early. It was game 1 in the National League Division Series against the Braves. It was game 1 against the Padres in the National League Championship Series. And then even in the World Series, we win game 1 on the road. Absolutely takes control of the series. Obviously, we didn't go on to win the World Series, obviously. But the fact remains that the Phils were up 2-1 in the World Series after that point because we were able to get that big win on the road, hold home field at least in game 3, and then, the rest is history, as they say. But overall, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I mean, this lineup from the Braves is just stunning. I mean, they hit over 300 home runs, which is right up there with the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees from 2019. And for those of you who don't know, in 2019, that's when they altered the ball, and a lot of people, it just, the magic ball or the bouncy ball, a lot of people, say just because the homers were out of control that year, it seemed like everybody was hitting home runs. And for the fact that the Braves were able to rival those numbers in today's environment, just absolutely astounding. You talk about likely MVP winner Ronald Acuna leading it off. They got Ozzie Albies, second baseman, who had about 30 home runs. Matt Olson, hit 50 homers, had 130 ribeye steaks. Like, come on now. He's in the lineup, absolutely dominant. Marcell Ozuna, although he had a DUI, he's still got that 30 bombs. I believe he might have even gotten 40, if I'm not mistaken. Just go up and down the lineup. Austin Riley, I didn't even mention. Sean Murphy, one of the best catchers in the league, I didn't even mention. Orlando Arcia, great shortstop. It's just like up and down the roster. Michael Harris II, bats an eye for them. Was Rookie of the Year last year. Okay, sorry. It's just unbelievable. And you just go up and down the lineup. It's every single spot is just absolutely dominant. But the one area that I would be concerned if I was a Braves fan is the starting pitching. At the end of the day, you have Spencer Strider, who has a very, very good chance to win the National League Cy Young this year. A lot of people think it might be Blake Snell, but it's pretty much those two, right? So what they have after that, though, is more of a question mark. Max Fried ended the year on the 15-day IL with a blister. Now, obviously, that's not a huge injury, but for a pitcher, it's a pretty big deal. He threw 5 innings in a simulated game. What the Braves did this last week, since they've been off this entire week, right? They held a inter-squad scrimmage, if you will, and allowed fans to come in. It must have been nice to go to. That would be really, really cool, just to see as kind of a lull in the schedule. Last year, they didn't do anything, and they seemed very, very rusty when we played them in the division series. So I think they kind of learned their lesson, and they're going to try to get a little bit more in rhythm. Granted, so Max Fried is from reports. He went about 5 innings. He did wear a Band-Aid on his finger, which you're not allowed to do in actual game. So that's going to be something to keep. He had no problems. He threw it fine with the Band-Aid on and everything like that, but you're not allowed to do that in games. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see if it's healed enough, even if he starts, if it opens back up, if something happens there. So Max Fried is a very, very, very good pitcher, left-handed pitcher. So that's going to be a big, big deal for the Phils. Game 2, it's probably going to be Max Fried. If not, they're looking at Charlie Morton, who 38 years old, 39 years old, journeyman, has been around the league, pitched against the Phils last year in the NLDS in game 3, it was game 4. He pitched game 4 against the Phils in the National League Division Series, got absolutely shelled. Not crazy, but he definitely got touched up a little bit. Not someone you're overly scared of, but still has the ability to punch people out, no doubt about it. And then after that, there's just not Bryce Elder. He had a good ERA this year, but more of a soft tosser, more of a painter, really not going to hit you with velocity. So that's where it kind of comes a little into question. When you're talking about the Phils, you talk about Wheeler and Nola, undisputed aces, ready to go in rhythm, ready to go. Spencer Strider, ace, in rhythm, no problem. Even though toward the end of the year, he was giving up a lot of runs, which is just something I wanted to mention, was giving up a lot of runs. I believe after July, I believe I saw a stat that his ERA was over 4.3. So not something phenomenal. Definitely, able to get on him. And then, Max Fried with the blister. Is it healthy? Is it not? Who knows? Charlie Morton, getting up there in age. How many innings can he really give you in a start? You're talking, is he a 3 or 4 inning pitcher, or can he give you 5, 6, 7 in a start? I tend to lean with the former. But when you talk about the depth after that, they really don't have it. And that's where, for me, I can maybe see an edge for the Phillies. The bullpens are pretty even. They have a lot of experienced arms back there. AJ Minter, lefty. Raciel Iglesias, righty. Just established arms in the back end of that pen. They also have young guy Smith-Schuster, who's a starter, or Smith-Schuster is a starter. He might even go to the pen and give them some bulk innings if, Morton or Elder struggle and have to get pulled out in the 2nd or 3rd inning. There's just a lot to unpack with their pitching rotation. I think there's more question marks, right? So take everything out of that. I just think there's more question marks with the Braves rotation and with the bullpen than the Phillies have right now. The Phillies know who their ace is. They know who their number 2 is. They know what their bullpen's got. Their bullpen is rested. Alvarado threw 1 inning. Jeff Hoffman threw 1 inning. Craig Kimbrell threw 1 inning. Jeff Hoffman only threw a third of an inning, by the way. Craig Kimbrell threw 1 inning. Jose Alvarado threw 1 inning in the first game. Let me get the Wednesday box score up real quick. And then obviously Nola went 7, and then Kirkring, I said his name, Orion Kirkring in the preview, and he went out and he shoved, and then Gregory Soto an inning. So you're talking about your main guys pretty much just getting an inning, getting some work in, right? So Craig Kimbrell, rested and ready to go. Gregory Soto, Keyring, Jeff Hoffman, Alvarado, Sir Anthony wasn't even used. So you're starting to see kind of the buildup and the health ready to go for the bullpen. And honestly, at the end of the day, I just think there's less question marks for the Phils in the pitching staff than the Braves. I mean, even you go to the ace Spencer Strider. He's pitched phenomenal this year. I mean, he led the league in strikeouts by a country mile, and yet his ERA was over 4. For most of this year. So, then you can kind of question what is actually going on with certain things like that. Max Fried was on the IL 3 different times this year, ended the year with a blister. Charlie Morton, obviously 38, 39 years old, not taking anything away from the guy, but the stamina is a question, even though if the skills haven't diminished at all. And then Bryce Elder, very young, hasn't been in this position before, hasn't pitched in a postseason game, although he had a very, very good ERA this season. So I think all of those factors added up can maybe give the Phils a little extra oomph to compete with the Braves a little bit more, because I think when you look at the lineup, the Braves have they perform better this year. They have the better lineup. You have to call it what it is. At the end of the day, you have to call it what it is. But let's not forget about the fighting damn Phils, all right? They got one of the best lineups in the league, one of the hottest lineups in the league, one of the most informed lineups in the league, and just a bunch of dudes, all right? I'm sorry, but the boys are absolutely buzzing right now, and I don't see the Braves stopping us. I mean, one of the things I love about getting the wild card is you just stay in rhythm, right? Like, the season ended on Monday. Okay, we got a game Wednesday. What was it? Was it really Tuesday? No, the season ended Sunday. I don't know what I'm thinking. Season ends Sunday. All right, cool. We got a day off. We got a game Tuesday. We got a game Wednesday. All right, cool. We take care of business. Now we got Thursday, Friday off. Boom. We're right back into it. But we've been in this atmosphere now. So obviously the Braves have been in this atmosphere as well. They have a phenomenal home field advantage themselves and all of the like. I'm just saying, I love how we've just been in form. We're ready to go. We've got that playoff juices already flowing. We've already maybe got the nerves of the first couple ABs out of the way, and it's really, really improving in that. So honestly, you're seeing a team that's maturing. You're seeing a team that's ready for the moment. I think case in point of that point, game 2 last night, the Phillies are up 3-0, and in the 6th inning, top of the 6th inning, Brian De La Cruz is up with a man on first. This is an outfielder for Miami. Aaron Nola walks him on a 3-2 count. Brian De La Cruz, it's 3-1, swings through a heater, goes to 3-2. He takes a nasty curveball in the dirt. De La Cruz takes first. Tying run is at the plate. For as dominant as the Phils were last night through the first 5 innings, the tying run is at the plate in the 6th inning. Aaron Nola gets a ground ball double play, inning over. Next inning, what do you know? Bryson Stott, salami, grand slam, round tripper, 4 ribeyes, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that just shows you, I think the maturity, especially of the young guys of this team. I mean, you get a lead, right? And you get a scare, right? Listen, we folded in this situation before where we got in a lead with Nola on the mound. I'm a big Nola supporter, but got to call a spade a spade. And he's been in that situation. So then when you're able to get that double play, get out of the inning, and then right away it's like boom, 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 3 on. Bryson Stott, first pitch, ding bomb. I mean, off a lefty too, lefty off. I mean, I just think that was such a. I mean, if it happened an inning later, it's a totally different feel to it. They go 0, and then Nola throws another 0, and then they come back and they add on after that. I think it doesn't quite have the same sting and the same punch that salami right after the Marlins got a chance to get, because this is what happened in the middle of the 6th inning. They go to the dugout and they're like, damn, like we were so close right there. We had runner in scoring position, 1 out, 2 on, tying run at the plate. All right, let's go. Let's get a shutdown inning. We're right back up. We're starting to get some momentum. No, I'm sorry, Bryson Stott, I'll put one in the right center field seats, and it's a salami. So that's where I think the maturity of this team is really on another level, and the confidence and everything from last year's run is starting to show up. And if you can't tell by now, the boys are absolutely buzzing, and it is permeating throughout the Northeast region. I mean, it's not even, and this is my favorite part about the whole thing, because last year everyone talked about how crazy CBP was. Trey Turner mentioned that was a big reason he came here. Everyone's like, yeah, we saw it on TV, how crazy it was. And now it's like everyone talking, the national announcer thing, it's like, there's some good home field advantage in sports. There's some great home field advantage in sport. There's only one Philadelphia. And these are ex-Yankee players. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. And it's just like rocking. Everyone's like, dude, even people that are like football analysts I'm seeing on Twitter and stuff, they're like, dude, this Philly atmosphere is ridiculous. Like, Jeff Passan, ESPN insider, says, listen, this thing is pretty much like an SEC football stadium. I mean, you're talking about the craziest fans in the country. Any sport, college or pro, SEC football is like ridiculous. I mean, you could say whatever NFL team you want, but there's very few places that are putting 100,000 people in one spot and going crazy all day long. And for him to compare CBP to that kind of atmosphere, it's like no other baseball team has that. Like, Atlanta has a great home field advantage. A lot of people say the Cardinals have a great home field advantage, but every time I watch them in a close game, it's like everyone's sitting in the 9th inning. I'm sorry, I'm up on my feet, right? And like other teams around the league, like the Yankees, they have a great home field advantage too, but they've kind of been struggling, and fans kind of fell out of interest with that stuff. And like, this home field advantage is so real. So that's where, when we're looking ahead to this Braves series, if we can get one in Atlanta, it's not going back to Atlanta. I can guarantee you that. Atlanta did play well in Philly. I can't deny that. I can't get that out of my head. I went to an Atlanta game where they played extremely well, and even though we came back, they still get these wins, and it's like, we're so close to beating our older brother, the Atlanta Braves. But as just that kind of happens, it's just like, listen, I'm sorry, the postseason's a different beast. We jump on them early, and then we hold them down. And the fact that we're going to have Nola in game 3, Rangers got no heartbeat, so I'd love him starting game 1 on the road. Wheeler, I mean, I'm sorry, like, the lineup is going to be absolutely dominant, and my official prediction for the series is Phillies in 4. It's my official prediction. Honestly, I think the Phils lose game 1. I'm just going to come out and be totally honest. I think they win game 2 behind Zach Wheeler, and then when it comes home, all bets are off. Phils win with Aaron Nola on the bump. Ranger comes back up in game 4. It's over. And even if we lose that game 4, or even a game 3 maybe, we're not losing both. We get Wheeler in a game 5 winner take all. Like, if they beat Wheeler in a 1-game series, on normal rest and our lineup, and if they beat us, you know what? Hats off. You shake your hand and you say, we'll get them next year, because that is what the Phillies want. And that they think can compete with any team in the big. So if you can get that, I like my chances. And if they're going to beat you, all you can say is good job. A little slap on the ass. I'll take it down the other way. So overall, I think my official prediction is going to be Phils in 4. I mean, what else would you expect out of this pod, out of my mouth? But overall, just an absolutely electric couple days at CBP. And I mean, this is what everybody's going to be watching too. Atlanta and Philly. Everybody knows what happened last year. Everybody knows what Atlanta did this year, and it's a crash course. This is going to be the most viewed series of any of the series. It's going to be just an absolute bloodbath, and I can't wait. So as we kind of just talk about the rest of the series around real quick at the end, honestly, I'm dead wrong. I totally misread 2 of the series. 2 of them, I pretty much 2 of them. Which one did I get wrong? Actually, all the other 3 ones, I pretty much got some stuff wrong. I mean, let's just be honest with it. The Diamondbacks go into Milwaukee and sweep the Brewers. I mean, Corbin Burns got shelled in game one. Arguably the best pitcher in the National League, Corbin Burnes, got absolutely shelled in game one by the Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll hits a monster 2-run tank. Woo! I love Corbin Carroll. But the Diamondbacks just absolutely folded. Brandon Woodruff did miss game two. He was supposed to start game two. He came in with some shoulder discomfort, so they ended up going to Freddie Peralta. Great pitcher in his own right. Had a no-hitter going through 4 2/3. Ended up giving up a home run, and then the Diamondbacks just chipped away. It's going to be really, really fun to watch them play the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, they've been in the same division. They've owned that division for so long. But the Diamondbacks, for most of the beginning of the year through May, was leading the division. And not just like barely, they were leading the division. And it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how that dynamic plays out, because it reminds me a lot of the Phillies last year, that 6th seed that go to the NL Central winner. They beat them 2 straight games, and then they go to the number 2 seed, supposed juggernaut in their division. I think it's going to be so much fun to watch. I still would take the Dodgers. I probably would take the Dodgers in 4. But the Diamondbacks are no joke, dude. Like, they have some legit dudes, and Zach Gallen is an absolute stud in that front of that rotation, and their bullpen absolutely looked dominant. I mean, they absolutely looked great. So I think Dodgers in 5, but I don't want to sleep on the Diamondbacks anymore. They are legit, and they are here to play. The one I absolutely got way wrong, totally wrong on this, was the Twins. I mean, the Twins the Twins hosted the Blue Jays and absolutely dominated them. I mean, there was really one inflection point in game 2, but Vladdy got picked off, and it pretty much was over after that. But the Blue Jays looked like they were not ready for prime time at all. They were not ready for prime time, the bright lights, anything. And Minnesota looked great. Royce Lewis, 2 ding bombs in game 1. Carlos Correa made one of the plays of the year when it got by the third baseman. He backed him up, bare hand, hee-ha, to the plate, tag out. Like, it was one of the best plays I've ever seen made from a shortstop. So they seem to be getting it together. And I think the thing I overlooked, and this is what I kind of want to talk about in terms of, I'm a huge process guy. You know, I love looking at my process. I don't care about the results. When I make predictions, what's with the process? I didn't even take into account the pitching of the Minnesota Twins. They trade Luis Arias from the Twins to the Marlins, batting champ last year, the American League batting champ. Side note, he went to the National League, won the batting title again this year, so he's just a true dude. So they gave up a good player, and in return, they got Pablo Lopez, a very, very good starter. He starts game 1 and absolutely dominates. Let me see if I can get the box score up, because I got it right here. This was on Tuesday. He went out and shoved. I mean, 5 2/3. 5 hits, 1 earned, 3 Ks, like, did what they needed to do. And then their bullpen came in and looked great. And then in game 2, Sonny Gray comes out there. Another guy unheralded, but got the job done. He came out, went 5 innings, 5 hits, no earned, 6 Ks, 2 walks. Like, their pitching was very slept on by me, and I was wrong for that. I was very wrong to do that, because these guys are legit big league starters, and they shut down a very, very good lineup with future Hall of Famers like George Springer, potentially Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette. Like, it's a deep lineup, and they made it look easy. I mean, shut the Blue Jays out in game 2, and I'm trying to think if they shut and they let up just the 1 run. So they allowed 1 run through 2 games. Like, Got to give hats off to the Brewers there, because, or excuse me, to the Twins there, because, you know, they got it done. It's going to be so fun to watch Correa in Houston. Obviously, the Houston Astros were the number 2 seed in the American League, so they are going to be welcoming Minnesota. It's going to be really fun to watch Carlos Correa back in Minute Maid Park against the Astros. It's just going to be really, really cool to see. So we'll see how that goes. And then the Rangers. The Rangers dismantle Tampa Bay. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me. I don't even know if Tampa Bay scored 1 run through 2 games, and Texas absolutely dominated. 4 runs in the first, 7 runs in the second game, much like the Phils. And they looked absolutely phenomenal. A lot of their young guys were really hitting the ball well. Josh Young came back. Evan Carter, their rookie this year, looked absolutely great. Hit a ding bomb in the second game, and they just absolutely dominated. I thought this series would go 3, and I'm pretty sure I picked the Rangers, but I thought it was a 50-50, so I honestly probably just picked the Rays. So the Rangers maybe look stupid here again because they absolutely dominated. Now they have a date with the number 1 seed Baltimore Orioles, which is going to be a very, very interesting series. Two teams that have really struggled over the last couple years. The Rangers won maybe 120 games over the last 2 years combined. The Orioles have slowly but surely been trending up, winning more and more games. And then, of course, 100 wins this year. It's going to be interesting to see how the young guys on the Orioles react to the postseason stage. Baltimore is another city with a great home field advantage, so I'm excited to see that. But this Texas lineup is no joke, man. It is no joke, and the Orioles pitching has a lot in store for them. You know, they have a lot to handle in that aspect. So it's tough. Honestly, I might have the Rangers here in 5. The Rangers in 5, I think, is my official prediction. I love the Orioles. There's so many players on the Orioles that I love. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, like young superstars in this game. I just don't know if they have enough pitching. They lost Felix Bautista in the back end of their bullpen. That makes me nervous. He was the best closer in the league this year before he got hurt. You know, Yanier Cano is now their closer. Very, very good, but he's not Felix Bautista, so that one just can... You know, it makes me a little nervous with that. So I'm going to have the Rangers in 5. A little bit of an upset pick, but I think they're just a absolute freight train of a lineup. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. The series start on Saturday, so we'll be able to see that. The National League plays on Saturday. All the 4 series start Saturday, and then the American League, both of those series start Sunday, and then the National Leagues come back Monday. So it's going to be awesome. You can guarantee we'll be here after the Phillies series and see how it plays out. Win or loss, you know we'll be here. We'll be examining our thoughts and all the like. So that will do it for the episode today, guys, though. Once again, check the description below for all our social media handles. Feel free to shoot us any questions. We'll try to get them answered live on the show. And then thank you guys once again for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you back here again next time. Let's go, Phils.